Hey everyone, it's me, Rainy. Yes, like the rain from the sky. It's my real name, as you should know. And in this video is going to be talking about how and why my fallopian tube became blocked. And I'm also going to talk about it in a more casual way. I feel like I've been speaking more professional about the other subjects. Except that one video that was just a mess because of the weather. That really wasn't my fault. I can't control the weather despite what my name means. But this is about me. It's about my mistakes, the things that I've done. So I'm not going to be professional about it. It's, you know, I'm angry about why and how it came about. And I've also brought you in a little bit closer because I have glasses and I can't see without them. And I use the window for light, as you may know, so the sun reflects. So I figured if I'm a little bit closer, maybe the reflection isn't so bad, but I don't think it is. So yeah, so we're gonna get into how my tube became blocked. So to catch you up to speed, in case you're starting with this video, my husband had cancer. It damaged his sperms. I have a damaged fallopian tube, which causes, you know, my egg not to go into my uterus, possibly, and then there's liquid involved that causes, if an egg does happen to get through, it won't implant properly onto my uterus wall, and we're probably going to have to do IVF. Obviously haven't done it yet, and that's where we are right now. So I'm going to talk about how my tube became damaged, because I know how it became damaged. I'm very aware of how it became damaged. I'm a little pissed off and angry at how it became damaged. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. Now in this video, I'm not going to slander anybody, but there is definitely blame to be put. And I'm pissed off about it. So I'm going to put the blame. It's my fault too, but it takes two to tango. So let's go back about 7 to 8 years, because I've been with my husband for going on 6 years this year. And so before I met him, I was in my first long-time relationship. I met this man when I was 20, about to be 21. I was fairly young. I'm 28 now, in case you need help with math. I suck at math, so I'm going to help you out as much as I can. So yeah, I met this man. I won't say names. He'll just be called the man, or you hear jackass. Whatever, you know, whatever term, that's what this man's going to be referred to. So I met this man online when I was 20. I had just moved to South Carolina. I've been born and raised in Georgia. Yeah, born and raised in Georgia, in a very small town. It's where I grew up. It was really small. There was no one there. All the boys I thought sucked, which I still to this day think they suck. Wasn't interested in any of them. So yeah, once I graduated, I was like, you know what? I want to get out of this town. My mom had a job opportunity in South Carolina. I was like, sure, I'll go. Anything to get out of this podunk town. So I went. Didn't know anybody. The only people I knew were the people that I lived in the household with, which was like my brothers and sisters and my mom. And there's a lot of brothers and sisters, so I wasn't like lonely or anything. But I didn't like immediately go there and start trying to date. It took me a while, to the point where I was like, okay, I'm really lonely. And I only ever had one boyfriend before that, and it was a very short-lived relationship. So I was like, you know what? I'll try it again. Maybe the guys here are better in South Carolina. They were not. So I went online, because that's the way I'm going to meet somebody, because I don't leave the fucking house. But, so I met this guy. It was probably the third guy that I messaged. He messaged me. But it was the first one that I met in person. And I have a really bad habit, because my first relationship I met online, and it was the first guy to respond to me or to message me, and I was like, okay, he likes me. I had really bad self-esteem, so I was like, ew, I'm gross. No one's gonna like me. Oh, this guy says I'm cute or whatever. He'll do that kind of thing. I had a real bad habit of doing that. So when I moved to South Carolina, this guy showed genuine interest. So I was like, okay, cool, he'll do. So I should have known from the beginning that this man was probably not the best choice for me. I should have been a bit more careful when it came to finding a relationship partner. I don't know what you want to call it. Because he showed a lot of red flags in the beginning, but I'm not going to get into it, but I was super lonely. I was super depressed. I had just moved to a town. I had just been recently out of high school. I was working on finding a college to get into. I didn't have a job yet. I didn't have a car yet. You know, like I said, very small town, big family, no money, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? I'm just tired of looking at the same walls every day. I'm tired of looking at the same people every day. But so anyways, when we started talking, we kept making plans to meet up. But then they would always get canceled, but they never were officially canceled. He just acted like we never made plans. So I'm like, okay, are you coming? And he's just like, what do you mean? And I was just like, we said we were gonna meet today. We were gonna meet in person today. And he's just like, huh? Like, just played stupid and made me feel stupid. And I was just like, okay, maybe I misinterpreted our conversation. I don't know. But looking back at it now, I should have found that really shady, because that's kind of messed up. You know, I remember getting ready and excited, and then it just never happened. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's me, okay. But I don't remember how long we spoke. Like I said, it was a long time ago. I don't remember how long it took before we met. When we finally did meet, he was okay. He was cool. I was like, okay, he seems pretty nice. I completely ignored all that weird stuff in the beginning, and I was just like, okay, maybe I did misinterpret things and we never really officially made plans. So he seemed really cool. We hung out several times, and then it just got to the point where I was like, okay, I guess we're dating. Where we see each other enough. I'm assuming we're dating. We never said, oh, you want to be my boyfriend? Oh, you want to be my girl? No, that's not how it went. It was just like, okay, we're a couple. And then, like, while we were dating, things got a little weird between us, to the point where he would say he was coming over at a certain time, and then all of a sudden it would be hours later, or he just wouldn't show up at all, and he'd come up with some sort of excuse why he didn't show up. And I was like, okay, this is weird. But once again, I was a fucking idiot. And like I said, this was my first real relationship, because the first guy I had met was online, and we only saw each other a couple times. And he ended up being like a weird guy or whatever. So I ended things, and then that was that. And then almost a year later, I met this guy. So I really didn't know. Like, I didn't know. And maybe I'm saying that to make myself feel better for the decisions I made. But I didn't fully understand what was really going on. Like, I didn't pick up the signs. And it was just very weird. Like I said, it's so blatantly obvious now looking back at it. Like, I should have just backed out. But anyways, I was like, okay, I believed, I know I use these a lot, I believed what he said. Like, oh, he got tied up, oh, he had to go somewhere, because we lived about 30 minutes from Myrtle Beach. Ooh, Myrtle Beach. So he was like, yeah, I had to go to work in Myrtle Beach that day at a store or whatever. And I was just like, okay, I'll believe you. You're all I got, so I'm gonna believe you. But then things started getting a little bit more weird, to the point where it made me be nosy. And I kind of, investigated. So I like looked at his Facebook, because we didn't put that we were in a relationship on Facebook. But I went and looked, and I noticed he had a lot of girls. And then there were some photos, and there was this one girl that it seemed like he was currently in a relationship with. I mean, his status on Facebook didn't say he was in a relationship, said he was single. But it very much so looked like he was in a relationship with another woman or girl. I mean, because I was young at the time, I wouldn't say I was technically a woman. And I confronted him about it because it upset me. And then, of course, he said the right thing that made me just be like, oh, okay. She's the one starting all this. Oh, you're so perfect. You just happen to know this crazy girl who's saying you're in a relationship. I'll believe you. So I believed him. And then fast forward a little bit, our relationship got a bit more serious, if you know what I mean. At this point, I was on birth control. I've used condoms. You know, I try to participate in safe sex. But, you know, I was like, oh, he's so great. And I think there was one time where something happened where there wasn't a condom involved, but he convinced me. He's like, you know, I love you, it's fine. You know, we can go without one, you know, I know what to do, kind of thing. So I was like, okay, sure. So yeah, so that was a thing. Please just stay safe. Just stay safe. That's the moral of this story, is to stay safe on so many levels. So that was that. And then I moved on, you know, life went on. The relationship still had issues to where it seemed like other things were going on behind my back. My older sister even kind of investigated a little, and she tried to tell me, and I was just like, no, that girl's crazy. That's his ex or whatever. And then, like, other girls were messaging me that they were like, oh, we're dating him too, or it just got out of hand. And of course, I brought it to his attention, but he's the type of person who really knew what to say. And I thought I was in love. I'm gonna say, I know a lot of people are like, oh, you only say you weren't in love with him now because he turned out to be a douchebag. No, I genuinely knew I was not in love with him. Like, I 100% know that I never really loved him. He was just a man of convenience, and clearly I was a girl of convenience for him. So I guess it worked out. What the only difference was is that I was true to him and he was not true to me. So fast forward a little bit more. We're still together. The idiot I am. We're still together, but you know, I tried to stay safe, and it was time for me to re-up my birth control. So I make an appointment, and I also go ahead and just do, like, you know, an STD test. Like, you know, I'm like, sure, let's do that. Let's, peace of mind, whatever. You know, got all the HIV shots, the HPV, whatever, you know, it's just like, yeah, sure, we'll test all that. Well, so it turns out that it was a good idea that I got the STD test, because it turned out that I had chlamydia. Now, first and only STD I've ever had. But anyways, when it comes to women, with most things medically, we don't show symptoms the same way guys do. Like heart attack symptoms, we sometimes don't have. You know, symptoms are just different with us. I had no symptoms. After I got diagnosed with it, after they said I tested positive for chlamydia, I Googled the symptoms, and I'm like, I had none of these symptoms. Like, none of them. There should have been like discharges and just all kinds of stuff. And it even said that some women do not show symptoms. And I guess I just happened to be that one woman out of whatever that didn't show any symptoms. So, you know, they gave me antibiotics, whatever. They're like, okay, it's easily curable. It's easily, I guess, curable. I don't know how to. It's easy to get rid of. Take this, it'll get rid of it. So I took it. I was fine. I told him, I was like, look, I had chlamydia, so you need to go get tested and all this kind of stuff because you're my only sexual partner. And it started, like, my eyes started opening a little bit more. It took me getting testing positive for an STD to realize that this man that I'm with is a piece of shit. So yeah, so I'm angry. It's his fault. It's my fault too. But that is the case, you know. He gave me chlamydia because he wasn't faithful in our relationship. And now this video isn't me talking about how much of a cheating piece of shit he is. It's just letting you know that that is how I got an STD. And then fast forward to me in the future, I've left him behind in the past, never to be thought of again. Who cares about this man? I left him. I moved back to Georgia. He's there. I don't even know where he is now because I don't care. But when I went to the fertility clinic, they ask you a bunch of questions. And one of the questions is, have you ever had an STD? So I was like, oh yeah, one time I had chlamydia. And they're like, ooh. They're like, chlamydia, okay. I was like, oh gosh. I was like, I don't have it anymore. I was like, well, what do you mean? Like, why is that a bad thing? I don't have it anymore. I'm fine. It's not like herpes or whatever. It doesn't like linger. I'm like, it's gone. It's gone. Like, what's the issue? And that's when the doctor was like, well, chlamydia, if it goes untreated, it can cause damage to fallopian tubes. And I was like, oh. And that's when he suggested the HSG, which is the test to see if your tubes are blocked or not. And that's why he was like, I definitely want to do an HSG on you. And that's why we started with the HSG, which was the most mortifying thing ever. And so, yeah, that is why my fallopian tubes have damaged. Because of my mistakes of not... because of my mistakes of not, I refuse to see the red flags out of pure loneliness / depression, whatever you want to call it. I chose to ignore those signs, and in the end, I got hurt double because he was cheating on me, and then he left me with this surprise at the end. And what irks me the most about that whole situation, why I am so angry with him more than I am with myself, is because he has a kid. That's the only thing I know. I only know because he reached out to one of my family members on social media. They're like, yo, he has a baby. And I was like, oh. And it's his kid. The kid looks just like him. So I'm like, yeah, that's definitely his kid. So it kind of pisses me off that he did all of that and he still got a kid at the end of the day. No issues. And here I am struggling. He cheated on me. He gave me the STD. And I'm the one who's continuing to suffer for it. So I haven't told anybody why my tube is blocked. I think I've told one of my sisters. I've told my husband. But I felt so ashamed about it, but it's not really something to be shameful about. It's shameful that I let that relationship go on as long as it did, and me knowing that I didn't love that man, I still wasn't safe when we had sex. That's what I'm angry about when it comes to that situation and what I'm embarrassed about, but I shouldn't be ashamed that I got an STD and now I have a blocked tube and can't have children. No one else knows because, like I said, I'm super ashamed of it. Because you're taught that STDs are, ooh, gross, disgusting. Like, oh, if you have them, then you're, excuse what I'm about to say, you're a slut, you're a whore. Because it's always the woman's fault, if you think about it. You know, the man's never at fault when it comes to him having STDs because men I feel like men don't get tested as much as they should. They're like uncomfortable getting tested with it. I don't know what's up with dudes not wanting to get periodically tested. Girls are too. Not saying it's a sex thing. But yeah, so that's why I really wanted to tell someone. Even if it is just me telling myself into a camera. But once again, if someone's on the other side of that camera one day and they see this, I feel a little bit better knowing that I've gotten it off my chest. And maybe you can feel a little bit better if this is the case you're in. Like if you have damaged fallopian tubes and it's because you had chlamydia. You know, it happens. It happened to me. There's probably someone else out there. I hope so, because if not, it's going to make me feel even worse. Sorry, I keep moving around. So yeah, so the moral of the story is to say, stay safe, stay smart when it comes to relationships, because you never know the lingering effects that a bad relationship can have on you. Like, I was only with this man for a little over a year. I ended the relationship. I moved the fuck away from him, and I thought that was that. I thought that was the end of it. I didn't think I would have to deal with the effects of our relationship years later. I didn't think of that, and it really pisses me off. Maybe that's the other moral of this story, is that Rainy's pissed off about everything. So yes, that is how and why my fallopian tube is damaged. Because I was an idiot. 8 years ago, I believed a man who is a terrible, terrible human being to me. So that's the end of this video. Maybe it's a little bit shorter than the rest of them. I know my videos are a little bit longer. The next video will still be a continuation of the series I've got going with this. I plan on doing some different videos, but I just really wanted to get my story out there, so I want to definitely finish that. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!